There's a piece of advice that the Oracle, Warren Buffett, has given that I think completely, absolutely is perfect for investing in the Dominican Republic. For a lot of people that watch my channel, if you're new, my name's Jamie Gruber. I moved down here in 2022 with my family, and we've been here ever since. It was supposed to be 1 year, but we're here almost 3 now. And I've learned so much about investing here. I'm invested in my first condo, might be investing in a second condo soon. So for those that like to watch, stay tuned. But I love the lessons learned about the market here, and I love applying knowledge that I have personally, along with the knowledge of somebody like Warren Buffett, the Oracle. Like I said, Warren Buffett has this quote, and it says, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful." And why that applies to the Dominican Republic specifically is there's a lot of fear about investing here. And to be honest with you, a lot of it's justified. And in fact, in a little bit, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories, specifically my own experience with why you should be fearful. It might jar you a little bit, so stay tuned for that. But his quote, "Be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful." Let's play that out. If you've looked at the Dominican Republic as a place to invest, you want to buy your real estate down here, you're looking at these different projects and things that are popping up. Boy, when everyone is saying like, oh, gotta go here, into this neighborhood, this area, or whatever, you should absolutely approach that with fear, because agents, brokers, real estate companies, they're gonna wanna push you on the product that they want. I don't care who it is, if it's somebody I recommend or not. They're going to want to push you on the product that you want. So you should be fearful. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't invest. It means you should do your due diligence. Fear is not like be scared, run away, but fear is more let that trigger or clue you in to the fact that you need to do a little bit more work before just kind of going with the masses. You know, you don't want to be in that herd mentality of like, okay, everyone's doing it, so I got to do it too. I think that's what happened in scams, if you've heard about it, like the alleged Nabasco scam that's happening right now, is sort of a herd mentality. Wow, it's super cheap, it looks good, this, that, and the other. I'm learning from individual stories that the due diligence just wasn't there, the attorneys weren't hired, or if they were hired from the developer. And if you haven't heard of the Nabasco scam or alleged scam, I have a whole video on it on my channel. But like that herd mentality, that means there wasn't enough fear. So be fearful when others are greedy. But at the same time, when people are fearful, I had to make sure I had the quote right. When people are fearful, and a lot of people comment on my videos like, it's a bunch of scams down there, it's a house of cards, it's a banana republic, it's this, it's that. I've invested in an area called Cortecito, and everybody's like, oh my God, the roads, oh my God, the drainage there, it's got a bit better. Oh my, I couldn't imagine buying there because it's just not getting better. It's not good, da 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 da. That's all fear. That's where I like to get greedy. That's where I would recommend you start to get greedy. That doesn't mean don't do your due diligence, but it means where people are afraid, take a look at that spot. Let me give you my experience. In New York, upstate New York, I bought 2 duplexes a few years ago, and I did what's called the BRRRR method, BRRR. It's buy, rehab, rent, refinance. So you buy it for, $100,000, but it's worth $200,000 if it's rehab, right? So you buy it, you rehab it for 50 grand. So it's $150,000 now that you're in. You rent it out, so now you got a renter in it, and then you go to the bank and you refinance it for 80% loan to value. So it's now $200,000, and the bank issues a check for the $100,000 original loan, pay that off, you get your $50,000 back plus $10,000, essentially. 160 out of 200,000 would be 80%. That's what I did with them, 2 of them. When I went to look at them, they had all the red flags. There was a lot of fear. Well, there's structural issues. The roof is leaking. There might be a drain pipe issue. Those sorts of things. There's a lot of deferred maintenance on these properties. So there was a lot of fear. I did my due diligence. I did a lot of work. I got a sense of like what the cost would be to rehab them. And to be honest with you, I was completely wrong on the cost of rehab by like half. It was 100% more than I expected it to be. But it still worked out because there was a lot of room in there for me to improve the properties. But it went from, okay, everyone's fearful, that's where I'm going to be greedy. And those properties did really well for me. I've since sold them and moved on. Another thing that people are fearful of is like New York though, man, like the landlord tenant laws and rent caps and it's just too much. It's like, yeah, but I know how to navigate that. I know the processes to vet incoming tenants. I have a sense of how to treat these tenants to make sure that, we continue to collect rent. In fact, in COVID, we had one tenant get really freaked out and sent this strongly worded letter. She was an amazing tenant, but she sends us this strongly worded letter about a couple of things that she didn't like in the apartment, how she was going to stop paying rent. And we were ready to go back at her, and we sat there, my wife and I, and said, wait, let's just call her. So my wife called. She's like, hey, what's up? She's like, I'm so sorry. COVID, I'm a waitress. I'm not making any money. She's like, my wife said, I get that. What can you pay? And she told us an amount that she can pay. And we said, that's great. We'll take that. Let's go 3 months and then see. And so she paid a reduced rent. She was so thankful. She's like, throw the letter away. I'm sorry. I thought that was what I was supposed to do. But we just worked with her and it worked out. 3 months went by. She was able to return to work in some capacity or got a different job. I can't remember. And she's like, hey, she actually told us, I'm ready to pay the full rent now, which was amazing. So we know how to navigate that, but everybody's fearful of landlord-tenant laws in New York or California. Look, a business partner of mine is a mega investor and he buys distressed multifamily properties in LA. Oh, what about rent control? What about this? He's like, do you know about ADUs? ADUs are additional dwelling units. He's like, do you know how when a unit turns, you can go to market on that? Like it's not rent cap for new renters, it's rent cap for existing renters. Like he just knows how to use that market and he's done very well. So be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. That's, to me, how you look at the Dominican market. So what does that mean? Look at the markets that are in the path of progress. I'm a fan of Cortecito for that reason. Look at areas that are near beach, walkable, a few blocks away, as opposed to on beach. On beach is amazing. If you can afford it, that's the best piece of real estate you can buy because there's only so much beach. But near beach is, a much discounted price to pay, and you get kind of similar rates for like an Airbnb or rental or whatever. But even if you just want to live there, it's going to cost you a lot less to live near beach than on beach. Look at places like Miches. Miches, for those that aren't aware, is 2 hours north of Punta Cana. Some people say an hour, like that's Dominican driving to get there now. Like let's call it 2. But it's up there. There's mega developers going in right now for projects like Four Seasons, Hilton, Dreams, Secrets. 2 of those are open. Hilton should be open very soon, Four Seasons in a year or so. And the Four Seasons, they're building residences and a hotel, and the residences are starting at $4 million. Plus, there's a likely airport being built there very soon, which actually might be owned and operated by the same owners of the Punta Cana airport, which is a top-notch airport. An airport is going there, and you've got these developers there with $4 million properties. Golf courses will come in, other high-end amenities. Like people buying $4 million properties aren't going to accept not having those amenities. Miches is another area in the path of progress. Rio San Juan, Cabrera, anything in Samaná, especially Las Carreras, Las Terrenas, Pedernales in the south. There's so many places to keep an eye on as in the path of progress. But a lot of people are going to tell you like, oh my God, there's no grocery store there. There's no airport. How do people get there? It's like, be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. In both scenarios, you need to do due diligence. You need to make sure you're working with the right people. And that's where I want to pivot the story a little bit and tell you about how I believe fear is the right mechanism. And in this market down here, as a guy coming in and learning about it and understanding it, man, I've been pitched specifically by people that are not above board. So let me tell you this story. Probably a little over a year ago, before I bought my property in Cortecito, I was talking to a realtor, very nice individual, who was like, hey, I'd love for you to meet this developer. Developer's done projects, right? Like they've done some stuff. Developer hosts, and a lot of them do like a live event. You can come down, you can attend it, and yada, yada, yada. So the developer was interested in having me speak at that live event as kind of an expat living here, talk about the lifestyle in the Dominican Republic and so on. And at one point, the developer asks me, hey, so what have you invested in? I said, oh no, I haven't yet. I'm looking. I'm interested in Cortecito. I'm interested in different things. And they go, okay, well, I'm gonna need you to tell everybody that you did invest. And I was like, I'm done. I'm like, thank you, I'm done. This is on a Zoom call. Like, no, that won't happen. Have a nice day. You do your thing. And then to boot, even though that realtor had no idea that this developer would have that moment of saying, I'm gonna need you to lie, essentially. I told that realtor too, like, I love you, I cannot work with you. Because people have enough distrust of this market, I can't, like, even a little bit, even though you couldn't control what this developer said, I just can't. I can't be associated, Can't be a part of it. The developer did try to backtrack a little bit, like, oh no, I mean, it's just, like, the words already came out, man. Like, I know where you are, and no, I cannot work with you. A friend of mine recently, is actually a YouTuber that I know, had a similar experience where a realtor from a reputable firm who does a lot of deals said to him, hey, can we film a video of you in one of the units I'm trying to sell, like promoting the unit, like as a buyer? And he's like, well, but I'm not a buyer. Like, that's okay. It's like, no, it's not okay. So when you see content out there and you see somebody like, wow, look at this, it's amazing, I bought this or whatever, unless you know them and you know that they bought it, I would be leery. I would be fearful. I would be absolutely skeptical of the who's the realtor, what are they doing? Even if they have a big name, reputable name or whatever, I'd be fearful. Doesn't mean don't invest. Again, fearful just means it puts your guard up and it makes you do due diligence. You do your due diligence, you learn about that realtor, you learn about the developer, and you're like, man, they're all good. I've done my research, and you watch some of the videos I talk about with due diligence, then absolutely go forward if it's for you. But understand that does exist, that there are, below board marketing tactics out there. There's one fairly large group here, brokerage, that consistently, and it's not like one rogue realtor, like I'm willing to forgive the broker if one realtor gets a little crazy in their marketing, but all of their realtors or many of them seem to market the down payment as the price. They'll reveal the price, but like if I'm looking at like, wow, this is only $100,000 for this beautiful home, and that's all it says, and there's no disclaimer or nothing that says like that's the down, 100,000 down. And people call like, hey, 100,000. They're like, yep, it's 100,000 down. That's up, like it's bait and switch. Again, it's not a scam because they're telling you the price. They're not collecting your money and not finding the property for you. But when you're already dealing with Americans, Dominican Americans mostly, that are skeptical or worried about like, man, if I'm putting my money down there, like, and you do that crap, it just, to me, like I can't be in business with those people. My reputation is everything to me. I obviously promote the developer I work with. I have specific realtors I refer, and I cannot risk reputational decline, if you will, if any of these go rogue. In fact, I have 2 attorneys I refer, one of which has gotten a little bit delayed in response time, and I'm having conversations with that attorney because of it. Like, hey, look, reputable, you're not going anywhere, you're doing the job eventually, but people are really afraid if you're non-responsive after 2-3 attempts to get in touch with you, and I can't be a part of that. I need to make sure that you are honoring the referrals made without delay. I need you to be more responsive. So the point is, be fearful, do your due diligence. But again, this quote, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. When you are greedy, when others are fearful, do your due diligence, but understand that where everyone's saying, oh my God, that scares me, that's the way you start looking and determining like, why does it scare them? And do I have the ability to go in there and do something really good with this? That's where the money's made. That's where the equity is gained. That's where the renters are going to go in the future. That's where you're going to sit in 5 years and say, wow, I bought this thing in Miches for next to nothing, even though there was nothing there, because I took a bet, I looked at it, I talked to enough people, I had a sense of the reputation of that area and what's going to happen, or in Cortecito, or wherever it might be. When you see all of that and you go, I invested today, in 5 years or 10 years, you're sitting on a property that's paid off, or you have very little to pay off of, and it's worth a lot of money, and there's a lot of people flocking there because there's an airport, and you're going, man, I cash flow thousands a month on my unit, and everyone around you is like, oh, you got lucky. It's like, no, I was fearful when others were greedy, but I was greedy when others were fearful. So that's to me the lesson here. The lesson is, make sure when you're looking at investing here that you absolutely approach it with fear. I understand the concerns when you hear a big scandal like Navasco, or when you hear about projects being potentially halted like Larimar and Cruise on Land, which were not, by the way. They're still operational. They're running through. They actually have all of their permits. I've been able to see this over the last week or two for those that watch videos of mine consistently and saw I reported on a political issue halting a couple of big projects. Looks like that's pretty much put to bed, but I'll continue to report on it as I learn more. But the point is, when people see that, they're like, there it is, proof. The whole market's a scam. It's all going down. This is just, people use phrase like, this is just the tip of the spear. And it's like, but then down the road, I'm watching Susie, Sally, Juan, and Jose, I gotta use Spanish names. Literally like, hey, I just got my unit. I see comments like, oh yeah, actually, I got my unit, it was 1 month delayed. So many thousands of people invest and get a good deal and get their unit and they love what they have and they rent it out or they don't or they live there or whatever it is. So many thousands of people. And then there's a few that are bad actors. But for you, if you're watching this, you're all about the education, you're part of what I call Gruber Nation. For you, you understand that when you're greedy, when others are fearful, that there's tremendous opportunity there. Like it was for me in New York. Everyone's fearful, I got greedy, I did well with that. And I have other stories like that. But again, be mindful of what you see. Be mindful of the marketing that's coming at you. In fact, I have a WhatsApp chat with the realtors I referred to, and I said, hey guys, are any of you using any marketing with non-investors? Like if you are, we cannot work together. And they're like, absolutely not. Take a look at my feed. No, we don't do that. One of them even said, I don't do any marketing with any buyers. Like that's not why they bought. They're not there to be my marketing tool. Like my reputation stands for itself. So I would recommend finding a great realtor. And look, there's a link below. I don't know how to put this without, like I'm just gonna have to own the comments of people like, oh, he's trying to make money. Because they'll pay me. They will absolutely pay me. But I have links below for attorneys. I have links below for realtors. And listen, I do my best to vet them. I do my best to make sure that they're the top-notch, best realtor. But if you're like, I want to buy down there and are serious, like there's some people that click the link and then they just ghost these realtors. Like, don't do that, please. Like, if you're truly interested in buying down here and you've got the capital to invest, and you're like, I am fearful, Jamie. I'm afraid of who I deal with. Try these realtors out. One of the ones that I referred to you, see how they go. If you don't like them, don't use them. If you do like them, you use them, sure, they'll pay me. But that helps me create more content, meaning it lets me spend more time on task and put more out for you. Same with the attorneys. So I don't know, I have this aspiration of being like the guy that restores confidence or brings confidence to this market by giving all of you the right pathway to the right people. Doesn't mean they'll always be the best, but I aspire for that. That's like my big vision. Like, man, my hope is if people trust me enough to say, all right, I'll take a look and see who you're working with, and then have a great experience with them, that we start to get momentum on the confidence of this market improving. And boy, for those of you that are in now, when everyone's fearful and you're being greedy, when it flips around and people just start coming even more and have more confidence because they're hearing more and more positive stories about their experience in DR, which is a lightly regulated market, so you gotta be careful. That's my dream, that's my aspiration, that I can create a space where, well, yeah, investing in DR, it can be tough, but tell you what, man, this one dude, he seems to have really good people that he works with, and I would absolutely trust his referrals. Like that's my goal, that's my aspiration. So anyway, the Oracle has spoken, not me, Warren Buffett. I appreciate you all following along. If you haven't done so already, I'd love for you to subscribe. A like and a comment go a long way for me, and I appreciate you watching this video. I hope you all are greedy where there's fear, but again, always, always, always do your due diligence. We'll see you on the next one.